Well, for the first time since President Obama's speech announcing major reforms to the National Security Agency, new polls show where Americans stand on the issue of surveillance. A study conducted by the Pew Research Center found that half of the respondents had not heard about the speech or reforms at all. 41% say they heard a little, and just over 8% heard a lot about the NSA reforms. Of those who heard about the speech, 73% believe the reforms will not increase their privacy, and 79% think the changes will not impact U.S. counterterrorism efforts. So a lot of the country appears to be still divided on the issue or confused about its implications, even after the president's speech. Political commentator Sam Sachs recently wrote an op-ed on RT.com, and he joins me now to help me sort through some of this confusion. Sam, according to this new study, half of Americans haven't heard about the NSA reform, and not even the speech. Should we take that to mean that the speech's reforms were so minimal that they don't even register on the national radar, or that people simply don't care, or is it something else?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think this is naturally somewhat of a wonky topic, and I think the NSA has made it a wonky topic, too. It's not just about, hey, should the government spy on everybody, which is what's really going on. But when you hear things like Section 215, bulk metadata telephony collection, people's eyes tend to glaze over, and that's a lot of the stuff that the president's speech was focused on. When he says he's going to appoint a privacy panel to the top secret FISA court, people are like, well, what's the FISA court? When you hear about changes to national security letters, these are all topics that are slightly wonky, that people don't firmly have quite a grasp on yet. And the NSA, the way they've played with language on what collection means, what retention means, what review means, they've sort of turned the words upside down, which has muddied the debate even further. So, yeah, I think a lot of people weren't paying attention to it, and those who are paying attention don't fully understand what's going on. And plus, the mainstream media, this isn't exactly the favorite topic. If you remember the government shutdown, everybody knew what was going on there. You had a countdown clock. You had all the issues being brought up. You had constant coverage. With this, the mainstream media only focuses on this when there's a big story like the president's speech.
So let's take a look at another part of that very same Pew poll. When asked whether they approve of the government's NSA collecting metadata on telephones and the internet, 53% disapprove and 40% approve. Now, that's the first time that the number of people who disapprove has actually been higher than the ones who approve. What can you attribute that to?
Well, I think it shows that the NSA and its defenders in Congress and the administration are losing. The NSA loves being in the dark. They love being in secret. These disclosures have forced them to mount this PR push to go on 60 Minutes to explain these programs. And the more and more they've done that, you've seen public approval of these programs they're trying to defend go upside down. And now we have the majority of Americans disapproving of these programs. It also speaks to what Edward Snowden, what the journalists he's been working with, and what organizations like the ACLU and the EFF have been doing since these disclosures to try and get the American people outraged by what the government is doing. And it seems they're being more effective. The more the people learn about these topics, the more they distrust them.
Now, another issue that was addressed during this very same poll was what to do with Edward Snowden and whether he is a whistleblower or a hero or a traitor. Now, that issue was kind of split 50-50. 45% say that they believe that he helped the public interest with those leaks. 43% say that he hurt the public interest. But the majority of people say that he should be prosecuted under U.S. law. So what should we make of this man and of this poll that Americans want to know more about the NSA, want to know more about what they're collecting, but also disapprove of the person that brought this information to light?
I think the question is prosecuted for what? Right? Edward Snowden admits that he committed a crime. Glenn Greenwald was asked about it last week, and he admits that Edward Snowden broke the law. But what should he be charged with? Should he be charged with stealing government property? Maybe. Should he be charged with espionage? No, absolutely not. I think the majority of those people polled who say that Edward Snowden should be prosecuted wouldn't go and say you should be charged with espionage. Look, there's a streak of civil disobedience here. People are willing to break the law, pay the consequences of that. It kind of makes more powerful the act they're doing. But operating in this new post-Chelsea Manning world in which when you try and engage in civil disobedience and spill some secrets that expose wrongdoing by the government, you are going to have your life ruined. You're not going to go to jail in the way that Martin Luther King went to jail or in the way that other people who committed civil disobedience went to jail and then can go back on their life. They are going to ruin your life. They're going to charge you with espionage and take you down, and you have to change the calculation here.
Now, something that I want to bring up, Sam, is in a recent op-ed that you wrote for RT.com, you said that President Obama's reforms are, quote, a Trojan horse. What did you mean by that?
Thanks for the plug. What I meant is, look, this speech was billed as a major reform speech, the NSA, and there were some reforms introduced, but ultimately the speech was focused on Section 215, bulk metadata collection. This was the first program revealed by the Snowden documents. It's also a program that's in danger. It was almost defunded in July of last year, and that was before 7 months of more of NSA disclosures. There's efforts in the Senate to undo this program, and one federal judge has ruled it likely unconstitutional. So I think the president wanted to come out and save this program before it gets completely taken out. In June 1st, 2015, it expires altogether. And there might not be enough votes in Congress to end the program today, but there certainly aren't enough votes in Congress next year to renew it either. So the president made a deal. He says, look, the government, we're not going to retain this information anymore. He didn't say anything about collecting. They're going to still keep collecting the information. I compared him to cutting off his left hand to save his right hand. They're cutting off the left hand of retention to save the right hand or the other hand of collection. And I think we'll see if this gets the courts and Congress off his back.
And Sam, that wasn't a shameless plug. This is. I encourage viewers to go to RT.com and check out your op-ed in full and learn a little bit more about the NSA, the reforms, especially for those 50% who don't know anything about it at all. Sam Sachs, political commentator.
Thanks, Megan.